Welcome to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. I'm Tammi Mack. Ooh, old adages are pretty ridiculous. My granddaddy used to tell my brother that a man should never date a woman younger than half his age plus 7 years. Who knows who calculated those numbers? But let's math the relic math. It means that a 30-year-old can date a 22-year-old. A 40-year-old can date a 27-year-old, and a 50-year-old can date a 32-year-old. So let me just take the time out here to quote the prolific words of the 1994 hit from Aaliyah Houghton. Age ain't nothing but a number. Or is it? Let's get down to business, y'all. The business of being black today is age ain't nothing but a number. Please welcome the Wall Street Journal best-selling author, Nana Malone. Hey, Nana.
Hi, Tammi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. The third place winner on season 23 of Big Brother and lifestyle content creator, Aza Awasome. Hi, Aza.
Hi, Tammi. How you doing?
Lovely. Expert, spiritual, life, and love coach. Hey, Carrie. Hey, Pope. Hey, Carrie.
Hey, Tammi. This is about to be interesting.
I think so. Influencer and entrepreneur, Dr. BOA is with us. Hey, Dr. BOA.
Tammi, distinguished panel.
Let's go. Since this is the business of being black, Dr. BOA, why should black people care about age when dating?
There is I won't even call it a stigma, but there is some truth to the fact that there are some older men who undoubtedly prey on younger women. And as well, there are some younger women who undoubtedly target older men for resources. We know that, but I think it's such a small portion of those who do experiment or engage in age gap relationships that we should be concerned about it, but it shouldn't determine, whether we agree with age gap relationships or not.
Carrie, why should black people care?
I think we should care because the thought when we get older, we have this huge age gap. Somebody's going to get there before the other. It can cause problems with sex. It can cause problems with infidelity, if we want to be honest about it. So I think it's important that we really look at this a little deeper than what's on surface.
Yeah. Nana, why should black people care about the age difference when dating? Or should they?
Well, particularly in romances, the reason people connect with each other are shared experiences, shared life values. And when you are in different generations, in particular, major large age gaps, those values are going to be different, particularly if one party is in that 18 to 25 range, where that's really where you're still baking as an adult and you haven't quite figured out your career and where you're going. That's going to become problematic at some point.
Exactly. Aza, why should I care? Black people, how does this affect us?
I think black people should definitely care. What really comes to my mind is my grandmother. My grandmother is one of an age gap relationship. Her husband was 18 years older than her, and they had a wonderful marriage and had my mother and had me as well. I feel that sometimes women and men look for different things. And I think especially at a particular state, if a woman is looking for more of an emotional connection and rather than the physical, I think that absolutely an age gap is something that they could look into.
Now, it's interesting. I talked about how my grandfather used to tell my brother this little adage that is out there some kind of way, somehow. So I'm wondering, is there a double standard when it comes to the acceptability of older men dating younger women and older women dating younger men?
I think it's definitely much more uncommon. I think with what we see, in the media with, I guess, what people call sugar daddy relationships or things like that. Usually you see that with an older man with a younger woman. But in this new age that we live in, I think people should be much more open to things and really not give a side eye at a Demi Moore situation with Austin.
Okay, Dr. BOA.
I just believe that people tend to look at the surface aspects of life when they think about who's fit for who or what two people should get together. I think it's more about an energy connection. If two people just really get along when they're together, and some of the best times they ever spend in life is when they're together, why wouldn't they be together?
Okay. Carrie? Is there a double standard that exists?
There is a double standard because if you think about just society in a whole, from the Bible down to today, men wrote the rules. So, prime example, if a woman has more than one person, she's considered a whore. If a man has more than one woman, he's a player. That's a problem.
So if that's a problem, how do we fix that problem? How do we circumvent that? Because honestly, older women who date younger men, we got a whole name for them: cougars. There's not really, well, I guess sugar daddy is a name for older men, but I don't think sugar daddy is placed. I don't believe that sugar daddy necessarily means an older man. Sugar daddy really focuses on you being able to get the sugar, which is ultimately the money, from an older man. But why do we look at older women stranger than we do older men when they date younger? Nana?
I mean, I think that's obviously heavily influenced by patriarchy. Because women are seen as the joke. As the cougar, it's the joke, like, oh, she's a cougar dating younger men. But for older men to date younger women, that's the supposed societal norm. It's like, of course that would happen because he's established and that's what women want. But for women, it's seen as a joke, something to be laughed at.
Yeah. Dr. BOA, this is true, right? I mean, Carrie says it's because of men making all of the rules. And men have made all of the rules. So how does that affect the double standard that comes with dating younger?
I think when it comes to the double standard, I really believe that there's a small portion of society that always attempts to paint a negative view of everything. So if a younger man dates an older woman, okay, she's a cougar. If an older man dates a younger woman, okay, she's a gold digger. He's a sugar daddy or a trick. And when you think about it, people just care too much about what other people do. The bottom line is, if two people care about one another, who cares what society says about it? I mean, society is going to say something. You can date someone your same age, and society is going to find something to say negative about it. That's just the world we live in right now.
That is the world we live in, especially with social media, right? Your business all over the place. This is the business of being Black, but you telling people mind their own damn business. Get out of mine. Get out of my business. Carrie, what is a manther?
Well, a manther is the opposite of a cougar. It is a man who preys on younger women within the age of 10 years or higher. He's using his money, his influence, he's using his power, and he's looking for those victims that he can prey upon. That's a manther.
Well, that term has not caught on as well as I would like it to, I have to say. Carrie, the manther, but I get it. Manther, cougar. Now you're laughing. Talk about these manthers.
I mean, I've never heard the term, but I wish it would, catch on. But I mean, at the end of the day, but what you're describing is essentially Hollywood, any entertainment industry. You're with the Me Too movement. All you see were these older, well-established men preying on these younger women who didn't have the resources or were looking for an opportunity or a break, who in most cases were not reciprocal or not interested in the relationships. And that's what happens a lot of the time.
So what is the reason, and I'll go to the men on this question. What is the reason that men go for younger women? Either
Ego.
Carrie or Dr. BOA.
I would say ego. I think that at some point it's a trophy on his arm. I think that his ego is stroked. He has the resources to give her what she desires, and it's a good look. And it's scary because sometimes it's not really built upon true emotions as it is eye candy.
Dr. BOA?
Now, as a participant, for lack of a better way to put it, in an age gap relationship right now, I'm in a 20-year age gap difference. And when you really think about it, the things that people say, you can tell that it comes from lack of knowledge about the situation. And everybody seems to paint this picture that someone's trying to prey on someone else. I mean, there are good people in the world who are not going to meet someone and say, "Ooh, what can I get out of them?" There's an exchange in every relationship. Two people can be the same age, but if a woman has no money and a man has money, their relationship is going to have the same dynamics as an age gap relationship based on the same principles. Now, let's say if a younger woman does have money and an older man has his money as well, then what's the thing? Who's using who? People just want to paint this picture that no matter what, these two people together with this age gap, somebody's trying to use the other. And it seems to me that there is a discrepancy in the amount of men who are accused of capitalizing on young women. We talk about the men in Hollywood. let's be real. Like those guys were creeps. You can look at those guys and tell they're creeps. Like who looks at Bill Cosby and said Bill Cosby is attractive to all women? Nobody. So he has to use his money and influence to get younger women who do at least want to be attracted to him, man. And I will say,
go ahead.
It doesn't apply to everyone. As an older man, you got to keep yourself in shape. I mean, why wouldn't a woman want me? I'm in my 40s, but I got a 6-pack. Why wouldn't she want me? My body's tight, my money's tight, my mind is strong, I'm stable. And yes, I do want a woman who is going to excite my mind as well as my loins. How does she excite my mind? Something different.
What comes first, though, Dr. BOA, that she excites your loins or your mind?
Both.
They're equal. They hold equal value.
They hold equal value.
I have to say, we talk about Hollywood, but listen, this is not just Hollywood. We can go all the way back through history, where before Hollywood was even created, and men have oftentimes. I mean, we have to also admit that there was a time that it wasn't illegal to date anyone of any age. So we can go back to time when men were dating 13 and 14-year-olds and marrying them and them having their babies. So this is not a new thing, and it's certainly not a Hollywood thing. But I'm going to get your take on it when we come back on The Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. We will be right back on FOXSOUL. All right, y'all? Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. I'm Tammi Mack, and the business of being Black today is age ain't nothing but a number. Please welcome the Wall Street Journal best-selling author, Nana Malone, the third place winner on season 23 of Big Brother and lifestyle content creator, Azza Awasam, expert spiritual life and love coach, Carrie A. Pope, and influencer and entrepreneur, Dr. B.O.A. Azza. Listen, it's no secret men want to leave their legacy behind. I personally believe that is one of the reasons why men seek out younger women in the past, and by past, I mean centuries ago. They wanted to leave their legacy. And there's another old adage that men wanted to see their women barefoot and pregnant. And let's face it, if you're 50 years old, you ain't gonna be barefoot and pregnant for too long. So is there something about history, Azza, that makes men want to date younger women?
I think so. I think naturally men do have that thinking of, do I need to leave a legacy behind? I think part of it too is they want to know, do I still got it? Can I still pull someone, But I think it really comes down to the woman and her choice as to what she wants to do. I'll have to admit, someone between 18 to 25 might not have the life experience to be able to be a bit more mature about her decisions. But I do feel after that, really, as Aaliyah has said, and you've said already before, age ain't nothing but a number.
So what has been the biggest age gap in a relationship that you've been in, Azza?
I have dated someone 18 years older than me, and I was 27 at the time.
Okay, so I don't think that's bad. That's not bad. Huh.
Thank you. I mean, amongst my peers and friends, I was looked down upon just a little bit. I was kind of the odd apple in that situation, but it was a great relationship. I met them when I was 26, and we did that for 2 years. And
so what was it that your friends were skeptical about, or?
I think, so to a lot of them, they hadn't dated anyone. The largest age gap they had was probably around 5 years. I think, with the thinking that we've been talking in this discussion, yes, we're at a little bit different life stages. The things that I might seem or deem as fun might not be what he deems as fun. I might still want to, go out with the girls and things like that, while that person might want to kind of chill and be at home. But kind of once I brought that person around, they were able to experience and see that person for whom they were. I think it kind of opened their eyes up a lot. And I actually had 2 friends who ended up going on some dates with older men as well. So I think I started a trend in my friend group.
You started a whole trend. So Dr. BOA, when you were 20 years old, your significant other was not even born yet. So how does that work?
Here's one of the major things, and I think we can all agree on this. Up to a certain point, women mature faster than men. So there's a difference there. For whatever reason, we can run down a myriad of reasons and waste the whole show doing that. But it gets to a point where by the time a man wants to truly settle down, let's be honest, the majority of women have already been in multiple heartbreaks. They've been in multiple situations where they've been lied to by men in relationships. The women aren't single because they don't want to be married. Women are single because they don't trust men. So when you really think about that, by the time a woman gets a certain age, she's got a lot of emotional damage that, let's just call them simps. That's what I call them. I call them beta male simp manginas. They've been in relationships with beta male simp manginas and they've been hurt. So they're not trusting. They almost don't want to be in a relationship. And when a man gets to a certain age, when you got your money right, you got your mind right, you got your body right, you got your spirit right, you suddenly feel like, whoa, I need somebody around that I can trust. Just
what do you
person.
call it again? Give us the term again.
The beta male simp mangina.
The beta male
simp
mangina. Now, what does that mean? What is that? What
a beta male is simply a guy who hasn't figured out what he wants in life.
Okay.
So if you can't figure out what you want in life, you're never going to get it. So you walk around crying all the time. But well, he has this and he has this. Why don't I? The simp is simply a guy who doesn't understand that valuing himself first is the essence to having anyone else value you. And the mangina is simply a guy who runs around like a little boy for his entire life. He's 30, 40, 50 years old, still running around in the club, still dating, still bragging about how many women he can have sex with. So that's a pretty good breakdown of it.
Okay. Nana, how do you feel about this?
I mean, there's so much to unpack here. I mean, exactly who were these people breaking these women's hearts? Men, alpha men and beta men and manginas, I guess. But that's just called life experience. That doesn't mean a woman isn't worthwhile. That doesn't mean she doesn't have anything to offer. That doesn't mean that she's not a valuable, valid person who's deserving of love. But that's besides the point. The point is you can actually find women who just were working on their career, going to school, getting masters, getting doctorates, who just haven't found the right person yet, who might be looking. But if you're overlooking them because you're like, well, all those women are trash and they're messed up because men messed them up, and you're only looking in a certain age bracket, that's a little, I mean, hey, you do you, but that's a little concerning if you're neglecting a whole group of women because, well, all of them have obviously been damaged already. That's a little concerning.
Okay, I guess I'll respond to that. Here's the issue. None of those things that you just said was in any part of what I said. I'm saying from meeting women. I'm not saying older women, younger women. I'm saying after a woman has been in a certain amount of relationships, she has damage. Okay, from any man, from every man, but not from me. So I'm speaking from a personal experience. And it's not that I go seeking women. I don't even approach women. My fiance, she approached me. Like, I don't approach women. I'm too busy chasing money. I'm too busy trying to build a legacy. I'm too busy trying to create things that'll last after I'm dead. So it's not all about a man going out pursuing women. Sometimes you're just that guy and a woman sees you and she wants you. A lot of relationships develop because the woman is attracted to the man. It's not this thing where guys have money, so they're just going around all the time chasing younger women. That's a misconception that, leads to people having a negative outlook on any man who just ends up being with a younger woman. I haven't always dated younger women. It's just that my woman now is young.
And actually, I was actually responding to your term when you said women have damage, when I'm saying that that's a broad generalization, and what generally quite a few men who are like, oh, well, I prefer younger women. I'm not saying that that's what you said. I'm just saying that when you talk to men who do say that they prefer younger women, they're like, well, the older women are damaged. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by damage? They've had life experience, just as you have had life experience. They're minding their business. They're creating businesses, being CEOs, having wonderful lives, but also they have had relationships, as I'm sure that you have, and they all bear the scars or the knowledge or the wisdom from those relationships. So I'm just curious if you're discounting older women as options. And as you said, you were approached, but if an older woman approached you, would that have been an option? Or is it like, well, no, because you use the phrase damage. That's my reaction. That's what I'm reacting to, because these women are just wise and have lived their lives. And I'm just curious about that.
Yes, I mean, an older woman is an option. I don't see a woman and say, how old are you? Oh, you're that age? No, No, it's not that. I'm speaking from experience of meeting these women. You got to understand, I have 30 to 40 consultations a month with men who have been in relationships and they've been heartbroken. I don't care how strong you are. If you've been heartbroken, you're going to carry some scars with that. I've talked men off the ledge of just giving up on life because of those heartaches. And if you've gone through that, especially if you've gone through it multiple times, no matter who you are, no matter what your age is, you're going to be damaged. And it's just common sense. Not always. There are some young people who really get out there, but the longer you live, the more relationships you're going to be in. And if you're 40 and you've been in 5 relationships, that means they all ended. There's some heartbreak in there. There's some disappointment in there. There's some other things in there. And not every man, I've never had a heartbreak. I've never had any of that. So I think with me, that's one of the things I look for in a woman who hasn't gone through those things. And when it boils down to it, my woman now, she's one of the few that I've met who hasn't gone through those things. And she just happens to be 20 years younger than me. So I don't choose younger women. And I don't think most men don't. I just think when you get to a certain point, you want certain things as a man, as you develop more wisdom, then it's just natural to, I guess, connect better with someone who kind of needs some wisdom, like who needs to be taught some things, who needs to be, shown some things. And likewise, it's very exciting. It's a very exciting time for a younger woman to kind of keep that excitement for life up. So I just think it's a situation where both parties benefit tremendously and just get what they need.
We know that this will not shift the balance.
Let's take a quick break and come right back to the business of being Black with Tammi Mack. Welcome back to the business of being Black with Tammi Mack. I'm Tammi Mack. And today the business of being Black is age ain't nothing but a number. So here's my issue with men who say that older women are a little bitter because of their past experiences and heartbreak. It's almost as if, I wouldn't say bitter. I would say they now know what they want and they don't want to settle for less. And men take that as being bitter versus taking it as a woman who knows what she wants. So I turn it all around and I say, are men incapable of handling women who are older than them because they don't want a woman who has an education already, who's been through life experiences and knows the little schemes and scandals that are headed their way before it, or should I say, knows the red flags? How about that? And they're just not going to put up with it anymore. Is that the thing that scares men away, Carrie?
I think so. I think that since the rules have switched and changed and men are now having to even the playing field, it could become a little troublesome because the games don't work anymore. The schemes don't work anymore. And now you got to come straight from the heart. And, I've got to give it to Dr. BOA. He said he's, in his 40s and never been heartbroken because I'm going to be honest with you, everybody I've dealt with, including myself, if you're really going to love someone with real love, meaning giving them your heart, it's going to get broken some kind of way. Now, I'm open for secrets how to handle it because the playing field, when a woman breaks a man's heart, it's because he's now giving her the ability to be true. In other words, he's broke down the walls and allowed her to come into that area or that space where he could be vulnerable. And I think a lot of men don't want to be vulnerable because that's really where love lies.
Oh, Aza.
That is something that resonates with me too, because in my 31 years, I've experienced my own heartbreak, but I don't see it as me being damaged goods from them. I see them as lessons I have learned from them and what I can take in my next relationship. Instead, I feel like experience is a great thing for us to go through because in experiences that we have, it shapes us for our next journey and it keeps us just mindful of things to look for, patterns and things we know that we like and we don't like. I am completely all for age gaps in relationships, but I'm not for neglecting an entire part of womanhood for another, specifically being the reason that women are damaged.
Yeah. Nana, listen. Sometimes women do. They are, before a brother can get in good, she already complaining about what her last man done to her. So sometimes maybe it is a little bitter. Right, Nana?
I wouldn't call it bitter. I mean, at the end of the day, look, I write romance for a living, so I believe in love stories. I believe that no matter what, people can overcome and fall in love and live happily ever after. That's the fantasy, right? That's what we all want. do I believe that, some women have been hurt and are like, well, the last guy did this? Sure. I think that happens all the time on both sides. I think that that's just a byproduct of living now and being in relationships. For those women, and men, I think that that's not the key to like a long lasting love, to complain and be like, well, the last person did me wrong. I think that probably requires some like inner self-reflection and inner self-work on really how to move past it before you're ready to get into another relationship. I think that's probably the key. But I don't think that people who have done work and look at past relationships as education, some people come into your life for a season as a way to like grow yourself. I don't think for those people who have done that self-reflection, that they are bitter, that they are damaged. They've just been through some things and they might know what they don't like, what they're not looking for, what they will accept in a relationship and what they won't put up with. They're simply setting boundaries. I think we have to be very aware of this, especially as we talk about Black women, that we're not taking boundary setting as bitterness, because someone's saying, listen, this has happened before and I now know I will not accept that kind of behavior. I will not accept this. I need this to happen for my own happiness. I think that's called boundary setting. I don't think that's really bitterness. Now, some people take it to a whole other level and perhaps need to sit down with a good therapist. But I mean, I think that women setting their own boundaries is not necessarily bitterness at all or damage.
So you speak about your novels and the romance novels that you write, but you have said that you don't include large age gaps in relationships in your novels. I want to ask, is that because there is no age gap, or is that because your stories just don't talk about age?
It's because there is no age gap. I mean, they're usually within, 5 years really is my kind of cap. Culturally speaking, I come from Ghana, in a society where there are lots of older men who can't wait for, like, they want that like nuggeted 18 to 25 because the women haven't really established themselves yet, are malleable, are easy to control. And that's really part of the societal kind of like, oh yeah. And these men are like, they could easily be your father's business associate, it's really a preying situation, and it runs rampant culturally speaking from where I come from. Now, I've seen that a lot, so it gives me a large like squinty eye when I see those kinds of things, and I'm like, exactly what are you talking about? You're in different generations, different things that you're going to not to be interested in. I'm not saying it can't work. I don't personally put it in my books. I know that in romance, there are people who love an age gap romance and there's a whole thing about it. I personally don't do it because I don't like it. And it's not something I think can really work for a long-term happily ever after, because there are things that are the short-term things sure could be great, but long-term, those things could be problematic. It's like, hey, you're 25. Right.
Dr. BOA, would you ever consider dating a woman older than you?
Dated women, not older than me? Oh no.
Older than you, yes.
No, I'm a grown. There was a time when I would have, but I'm a grown man now. Older than me, you got to start getting into late 40s, early 50s, 60s. Now,
you act like that's death.
No,
Dr. BOA, late 40s, early 50s, that is not death.
It's just not my thing. I haven't met a woman. Let's put it like this. I haven't met a woman older than me that I clicked with. If I do, yeah, I'm all about who I clicked with. If I click with this woman, that's it. We're not going to even worry about what anyone else has to say. Now, I will say this. As a man, look, I got everything together. I don't want to have to handle my woman. I ain't with that. Like, for
why is it that you assume a woman in her late 40s? Why is it that you assume a woman in her late 40s has to be handled?
No, I'm not saying a woman in her late 40s. I'm addressing what you said earlier, how men can't handle a woman who's set these boundaries and all of these.
Got you.
I believe everyone should set boundaries, but I'm not that guy. I haven't given you any I'm not jumping through hoops to prove to you that I'm not that guy. I'm honest. And there's only so much proof I'm going to give you that I'm honest. I'm not going to keep being honest. And you're saying, you're double checking this and double checking that. I understand. You have the right to, but I'm just not going to deal with it. I'm too valuable. I'm too paid. I'm too made. I'm too righteous. I'm too all of this. I'm not saying I'm more of that than any man in the world, but I worked hard to build myself. I've had to handle a lot of obstacles. I've had to handle a lot of haters. I've had to handle this system that we're in. And then I got to turn around and handle my woman because she's gone through some things. No, I ain't going to do that. And one more thing I'll say right quick.
Carrie, does he have a point?
It's not that I look at a woman and say, oh, put all of those older women over there, put all these young women over here. Technically speaking, you don't always know how old a woman is. We all know the term black don't crack. So you can see a woman in her 30s and 40s, boy, that look good. So it's not that I meet a woman and say, you know what, everything's good about you, but that age just isn't going to do it. That's not the case. And most men don't do it that way. But I will say this. It's not about preying on someone. It's about me looking at my life. And the same way women have boundaries, I have boundaries. One of those boundaries is I'm not going to deal with the fallout from past heartaches. I'm not going to mend a heart that I didn't break.
Ooh, okay. Let's take a break on that note. The Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack will come right back on Fox Soul. Welcome back to the Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. The business of being Black today is age ain't nothing but a number. Please welcome the Wall Street Journal bestselling author Nana Malone, the third place winner on season 23 of Big Brother, and lifestyle content creator Azza Awasam, expert spiritual life and love coach Carrie A. Pope, and influencer and entrepreneur Dr. BOA is here with us today. So, Carrie, Dr. BOA had a lot to say before the break about dealing with older women, but not necessarily having anything against older women. He just hadn't found one that maybe strikes his chord. Would you date a woman older than you?
Tammi, I have dated a woman older than me, 8 years to be exact. And relationships, again, is about, chemistry. And we just didn't have good chemistry. So I ended up going 7 years under. And that's my wife now. She's 7 years younger than me. But something I want to touch on real quick and about handling a woman. I don't believe in handling a woman or a man. I think if you got to handle someone, then there's a level of disrespect that's there. I mean, they don't respect you. So for that reason, no matter what your age is, older or younger, if you can't respect me, you got to go. And so when you meet someone, unless they've done the work and gone to therapy and worked on themselves, there's going to be some little hurt there, period. I have yet to meet anyone who has to be 100% whole. Now, something may happen when you may trigger that person. So an older woman, for instance, she may have been triggered by something that happened. She wants to go date a younger guy. She meets me. Well, guess what? She's enjoying the sex or she's enjoying the conversation. But then at some point, there's some things about her I'm not liking. So there has to be that chemistry.
Yeah.
Just period.
Yeah, it has to be some compatibility, right? Nana, would you date a man younger than you?
I mean, sure. I mean, I don't have necessarily a problem. I mean, he'd have to be within like a certain range, right? Because otherwise he's going to be really interested in things that I'm like, that is exhausting. I don't want to talk about X, Y, Z, or I have zero interest in this. Like, these are like,
yeah, he's gonna want to go to Travis Scott concerts, and you're gonna want to go. You're gonna want to go to Teddy Pendergrass concerts.
Oh, I mean, the concert, like that's the concert I'm gonna go to. But like, I mean, I know who Travis Scott is, but I'm like, and I might even listen to the music, but to be in that crush of like teenagers, I'm begging you, So like, there's gonna be a disparity really between what we're interested in doing and what we're going to do. But like, could it work? I'm not saying it can't. I'm just saying we're already going to start off the bat with a difference in things that we're interested in. If it's really on either side, really more than 5 years, then you start being like, oh, okay. And the wider the gap gets, the wider the bigger set of problems that come with that.
Yeah. Azza, what about you? Younger?
I actually have never dated anyone younger, but I honestly don't attract people younger than me. I've literally never been approached by anyone that's younger than me. For some reason, it just tends to be older, at least 9 years.
Yeah, I think for women as well, I think women like to feel protected and provided for. And so while we talk about men who date younger women like older men. We like somebody who we know is going to provide for us, protect us, who pretty much has themselves together in their career, in their education, in their status. Women are drawn to power. Is that not true, Nana?
Yeah, no, I mean, 100%. I write books about this. It's like they're drawn to power, but I usually have them in their age bracket. And I'm not saying I don't see the appeal to power because these older men are going to be more established. The thing is, you can find you can find those men who do have like an accelerated like maturity about them within your age bracket. It's just going to take sifting through. And I do believe that women, at least younger women, you know, really in their 20s are maybe a little bit more mature than some of the men in their 20s, because really, like I said, that age 18 to really 30.
You know, I would definitely date a younger man, and I have one in mind. His name is Usher Raymond. You know, Usher is attracted to older women. I don't think he's attracted to older women like only older women. I think Usher is attracted to women, and he doesn't choose, you know, or have any specificity about them. So that's the thing that attracts me to him. Like, oh, okay. But at the age of 73, Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones had a baby with then 30-year-old Melanie Hamrick. So do you think it's fair to the woman to have a child with a man who will not likely be there for the majority of that child's life if nature takes its course in the way that we know nature to? Carrie, you're shaking your head.
That's a check. I'm sorry. Any woman that's having a man's child that old, that's a check. That's guaranteed. And I know it may sound wrong, but
because what if she hasn't had a child and she wants a family? Women want babies.
Yeah, but get a baby, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, within your decade of dating. You know, I have this thing called decade dating, where you're dating within that 10-year span of your age. And, you know, you have a 30 to 40-year gap there. That's all. I mean, he was figuring out what he wanted at 40 when she was just coming out of her mom. So that's just ridiculous, in my opinion.
Haza, is it ridiculous?
You know, I feel like love is love. I do definitely think that there are people who have specific intentions when dating someone older. But I think about the first time I dated someone a lot older than me. It literally just fell into my lap. I was not looking for that at all in the least. And this person happened to align with a lot of my values. And we had chemistry, and we had that emotional connection to each other. So I can't. There were no specific intentions on your part either, though, right? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There were no specific intentions. At the age that I was, I mean, that's 26. They're not a lot of young guys still want to be out in the streets. They don't really want to settle down. And I ended up finding someone a little bit older who did want to have a relationship, and that's how that started. But yeah, I can't exactly judge a woman for what her intent is in dating a 73-year-old man. Are there people who are looking for checks? Most definitely, absolutely. But I can't put that on every single situation.
So if you were to marry a man 30 years older than you, what considerations would you have to make when it comes to having children together?
Well, so I have told myself, if I come to a particular age and I'm still not able to find that person, then I'm not going to say I'm going to lower my standards. I'm just going to adjust them considerably. So we don't know what might happen in the next 5 years. Okay. I mean, we'll see. Maybe my standards will adjust considerably and I'll have to think about these.
Listen, it's, you make a very valid point, because I was just having a conversation with my girlfriend last night, and she says, some of these Black women really need to consider coming outside of their ethnicity and start to open up their dating pool, and particularly the ones that are older, that are in their 40s and up. They should definitely seek something other than a Black man. Dr. BOA?
You know, the funny thing about that is women get to have whatever choice they want. Society accepts it. You can have a Black man, you can have a white man, a Hispanic man, you can have a man with two heads if you want to. But there's a problem with a man having a younger woman.
That sounds promising.
Come on, let's be realistic. I'll also say this. When it comes to love, women don't want love. Women want the perception of being loved. If you tell a woman you love her and you put your hands on her, you can tell her you love her all you want to. You may truly love her, but you got some scars that are causing her not to have the perception of being loved. So if you're in a situation with a woman, as long as she feels what she needs to feel, nothing else really matters. Like, we live in a world where we try to micromanage everything. And Ozzy said something very interesting earlier, and it triggered something in my mind. I just happened to attract this younger woman. Before her, there was a woman 20 that I attracted. Now, I'm not going to go that far. That's a little bit too far for me. You know, I feel like Bill Cosby with 20. So, but I will say people have to understand that if a man decides that, okay, he wants this older woman, this younger woman, and that younger woman says, okay, I want you too, what's the issue? Mick Jagger may have wanted a child before he dies. Okay, I need one more son to leave my legacy to. How about you? The man ain't got much longer to live. We know that. So I think when it really boils down to it, people have to understand one thing. Love is hard to come by. It's hard to come by someone you really resonate with.
I think we can all agree on that, Dr. BOA. Love is hard to come by. This commercial break, pretty easy to come by. Let's take it on The Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack on FOXSOUL. Welcome back to The Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. I'm Tammi Mack, and the business of being Black is age ain't nothing but a number. Carrie, let's talk about the parental dynamics when it comes to dating someone older or younger, if you will. Isn't there some type of dynamic where the older person has this motherly kind of aura or fatherly kind of figure going on here?
I would think so. If you've been a father, let's put it like that. To me, my oldest daughter is 30. She's 33. If she was dating somebody my age, the father in me is going to come out and say, "Hold on a second. I didn't raise you this way," because I believe that there should be, a difference in age there. Now, if she really loved him, he proved himself to love her, I may have to reconsider that. But the father in me is definitely going to say, "Hey, let's have a conversation," because I'm very protected in that way.
Right. Nana, what do you think about that? Is there, if there's a significant age gap in a relationship, is there a parental dynamic between the couple? For example, does the younger person in the relationship see that man or woman as a father or mother figure?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely. I mean, just speaking in my world, I mean, there's a whole set of romance novels dedicated to daddy fantasies, and that's the appeal. It's like, oh yes, my father's best friend, and there's the appeal of that. Yeah, no, I mean, not gonna.
You're right about that. Look, there's a whole porno section dedicated to. Look, Carrie's looking like what? Let's keep it real, and it is one of the top 3 sections on Pornhub that has to do with the daddy issue thing. So it's a real thing here. It's a real thing here, Carrie.
Yeah, these books sell great.
Dr. BOA?
In my experience and in my relationship, it's more of a CEO middle management type of situation. I tell my guys all the time, your first business is the business of your life. Build your life like a business. Compartmentalize everything like a business. And when you add a woman to it, you want a woman who you can add to the corner office and executive suite. So when you're out playing golf and all of that, she can still manage the life the way you would. So I think it's more of a CEO. That's just my experience now. But I do believe that, honestly, there is kind of maybe a father figure dynamic in most of these situations. And I think you have to get down to the core of who people are. And I think, like Carrie said, there's got to be a man in a woman's life. I had to meet her granddad. He wanted to know what I did, how much I made, what my intentions were. He wanted to know all of these things. And once I garnered his trust, it was okay. If I hadn't done that, he'd have been like, "Oh no, this ain't gonna happen. I'll kill him first." Yeah. So, and that's just how it would have gone. So I think there needs to be a component of that. And if a woman doesn't have that in her life, then she probably there's no way a woman can tell what an older man's intentions are. It's going to take a mature man to sit down with that guy and figure out what his intentions are. So
with your significant other, Dr. BOA, you are probably the same age as her father, right?
His father's a little bit older than me. Yeah, he's old enough to be my big brother.
Right. And so with that said, are you more of a father figure to her?
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so, because I think the
does she call you daddy?
At that certain time, she does. I hope when you call me daddy at that time. So just on a regular day, she doesn't walk around. I think that would be fairly uncomfortable for me. If I just walk around calling me daddy all the time. So no, she calls me, baby.
I got it. I got it.
Just like everyone else,
Nana, are there any cultural reasons why you're against different age difference in relationships?
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. From what I've seen and just, being in Ghana at a very impressionable age, you see these older men, the way they're looking at these young women barely like off to university, and really like there is like an element of like molding them and being like, oh yeah, like when you're done university or even before you're done university, come and see me, come and visit me. It's very creepy. And like you see that so much, and people just sort of turn a blind eye to it, that like, I'm like, you don't see a problem with this? Like this young woman hasn't even identified what she wants out of her life yet, but you've got this like old man literally in the wings, like, yeah, like that's the one I want. And because they want to mold these women, because they're like, oh, yes, these older ones, they have opinions, and no, I don't want that. And they really want these young, malleable women who they think
She
are going.
makes a point here, Carrie, because I have a friend who said, "Hey, dating a younger woman," and he says, "Hey, I feel like I can mold her into what I need her to be."
Janet Jackson said it best: control. That's what he wants. He wants to control. If we could be honest about it, when you find someone who doesn't have an opinion, who doesn't have insight, come on, that means you can do what you want to do, and you're God. I want someone that's a help me. Let's work together and build this thing. Yeah. That's what I want. Now, if that may work for some other people, but no, I want you to bring something to the table besides a body.
So is there a power dynamic when older people date younger people?
Without a doubt. Yes, there is a power dynamics. And I give you this reason. Take a little girl when she's born, her father is her hero. He's her first boyfriend because he's protecting, he's loving her, he's giving her everything. So she grows up looking for that in a man, but not so much in the age. She's really looking for the qualities of her father, not the age of her father.
Yeah, got it. Nana, what can you tell us about your latest novel and your book, London Royal, London Soul?
London Royal, London Soul, a young African woman leaves behind an abusive relationship in the States and heads off to follow her dream in London, which is to become a photographer. And of course, her family has some things to say about it from a cultural perspective because they want her to go and study engineering.
I can't wait to take a read at that. Dr. BOA, what is alpharonomy?
Alpha is just the term alpha male, which is not what most people think. So I added the ronomy from the book of Deuteronomy to add some godliness to the term. So it's simply just alpha with ronomy on the end of it. Just to I tell guys all the time, you can't be alpha without a strong relationship with God. So
then what is the book of alpharonomy?
The book of alpharonomy, I'm glad you asked, is actually coming up. It's going to be my first book, March 21st. It'll have an accompanying soundtrack, which is something different, called Alpha Music. And it's just kind of like Dr. BOA's quintessential guide to being a true alpha male.
Aza, your YouTube channel, and you have an event popping up in February.
I do. Yes. So my YouTube channel is more lifestyle. I do a lot of cooking videos and cooking content, but a lot of vlogs about my life. But I do have House Chops coming up. It's the Celebrity Big Brother watch party and food experience. I partnered with Proper 21 in BC, and it will be a joint menu with some great recipes that I made in the house and also from my childhood.
It sounds like you need to be on Master Chef.
We'll see.
Hell's Kitchen.
Yes, definitely. Before I do that, though, I do also have a book coming out February 4th called House Chops, and it's recipes and short stories about my childhood and the recipes that mean so much to me.
Oh, I love to cook, so I'm definitely going to get that book when it hits.
Awesome. I'll get you a copy.
What's your favorite recipe to cook?
Oh, I think I have to say it's puff puff. They're these beautiful little fried dough balls that I used to eat as a child. They're what I made all the time in the house and what got me to Final Three. No one wanted to get rid of the girl who could cook. So that's what I got so far.
Gary, you have those Love and Life master classes, my man. Please tell us how well we will come out of those in Love and Life if we take one of your classes.
Well, we have 3 classes to offer. We have the master class, which is where you're doing the self-care work. That one on the screen now is the soul work master class. We have the dating and a soulmate attraction master class, and we have the standard master class. This is self-help work where you're basically in the master class working on you. When you then worked on you, you're ready for a soulmate, dating again. And after that, we have those who've gone through divorce and bad breakups, the soul work, which is basically reclaiming your soul from the relationship when you lost it.
That's good. Now, on the work, was that your wife I saw you with?
Yes, that's my beautiful wife, Rebecca Lynn Pope. She's awesome. We have tag team on the master class. That's my queen. And the work is awesome. We're both teaching this together. And it's something that I definitely recommend you be a part of. Get this class. It will help you find you.
If someone is thinking about love in their life, what's the one thing that they should consider first in one word, y'all? One word. I'll give you about 2 seconds to figure that one out. One word. Carrie, go ahead.
Healed.
Oh, that's great. Nana?
Friendship.
Aza? Aza?
Love.
Dr. BOA, take us on home.
Connection.
There it is. All of those words make for a wonderful relationship. All right, I'm out of here, everybody. Until next time, it's a pleasure to be in your box on Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack.